In the 1940s, one image defined an era. It was playful, glamorous, and unforgettable. The photograph of Betty Grable in her famous pinup pose. Glancing over her shoulder with a smile that seemed to capture both innocence and allure. To millions of American soldiers stationed overseas during World War II. That single picture was more than just a poster, was hope, comfort, and a reminder of what they were fighting for. But what many people don't realize is that this now legendary image almost never reached the public. In fact, Betty Grable's iconic pinup was on the verge of being banned. The viral hook is this: the most famous pinup in history, adored by soldiers and cherished by a nation, was nearly silenced before it could inspire the world. Betty Grable was already a star when the photograph was taken in 1943. Known for her musicals and her trademark million-dollar legs, she was Hollywood's golden girl. Studios carefully curated her image, presenting her as the wholesome yet glamorous actress who could charm audiences without stirring too much controversy. When photographer Frank Powlney suggested capturing something a little different, playful shot that blended innocence with a hint of sensuality, Grable agreed. She posed in a simple white bathing suit and high heels, turning over her shoulder with a smile that was coy, not provocative. What resulted was a photograph that walked a fine line between Hollywood glamour and pinup art. The studio loved it. But the approval process was not so simple. America in the 1940s was deeply conservative in many ways, and censorship boards were strict about what could be shown. When the photograph was submitted for review, concerns immediately arose. Some officials argued the pose was too revealing, the swimsuit too daring, the suggestion too bold for a country at war. They feared it might be considered indecent or send the wrong message about American values. For a brief moment, the fate of the photo hung in the balance. But others saw something more. They recognized that Betty Grable's smile wasn't scandalous. It was reassuring. Her pose wasn't vulgar, but lighthearted and fun. To a generation of men about to risk their lives on distant battlefields, this photograph could serve as a symbol of home, of warmth, and of what awaited them when the war was over. The decision was made to allow the image's release, and with that choice, history was written. The impact was immediate and overwhelming. Millions of copies of Betty Grable's pinup were distributed to soldiers around the globe. In barracks, in tents, even in foxholes, her smiling face became a reminder of normalcy in a world torn apart by war. For many, the photograph wasn't just decoration, it was a lifeline. Soldiers wrote letters describing how the image lifted their spirits on the darkest days, how seeing her face gave them something to hold on to when hope felt scarce. Ironically, the very qualities that almost got the photo banned were what made it so powerful. It carried just enough glamour to captivate, but enough sweetness to feel approachable. Grable didn't look like a distant goddess, she looked like the girl next door, someone worth fighting for. In a time when propaganda and grim headlines filled the airwaves, this one picture provided something softer, yet no less powerful, a vision of the life soldiers longed to return to. When the war ended, the photo remained iconic. It turned Betty Grable into the most famous pinup girl in history, securing her place as a symbol of the 1940s. Decades later, historians still call it the most popular pinup ever produced. And yet, few remember how close it came to being censored out of existence. Today, Betty Grable's photograph is more than just a relic of a bygone era, a testament to the power of imagery. It shows how a single picture can inspire millions, carry a nation through its darkest hour, and define a cultural moment. What was once nearly banned became the very image of resilience, beauty, and hope. And that is why Betty Grable's pinup endures, not just as a poster on a wall, but as a symbol of history itself.